want the children here to learn these things. And the desire, I drive and then get the desire to learn so one day they're going to prefer their language to English. I always do myself. I would much rather speak my language in English.
Tachini Pete Louis Quest, Jenny Lemicum and Nkwusm.
Hessen Jakuk A. Pesia Salish Louis Quest. Good day, my name is Cheney Bell.
Melanie Louis Quest. I am a curriculum developer at Nkwusm, Salish Immersion School.
Spilquash Louis Quest. I'm also known as Joshua Brown, and I'm the director of the Native American Language Teacher Training Institute at Salish Kootenai College.
And once you learn the language, then you could walk down the street and say, hey, I'm Indian. I got proof right here I could talk Indian, you know. And you'd be stronger, you know. And I'm so happy that this Nkwusm survived after 8 years. And I always tell Tachini, this is going to be history right here, you know. If we go another 20 years, they'll say, remember there was two old people was with us, Pat Pierre and Stephen SmallSalmon. They were here with us until they were gone, you know. And that's what I like, you know, is at least I'm part of it, you know. Part of Nkwusm.
There's a danger lurking here. That danger is one of apathy. The danger of losing the Salish language. Nkwusm is located in Montana, within the boundaries of the Confederated Salish and Kootenai Tribes Reservation. Also known as the Flathead Reservation, Nkwusm is situated in Arlee. Nkwusm has led the way in revitalizing the Salish language through young people. There are 37 students ages 3 to 14. Nkwusm's mission is to recreate a process whereby language is passed from parent to child. The Immersion School has expanded from a single classroom with only preschool children to multiple classrooms and children into primary school. 4 young people, Tachini Pete, Cheney Bell, Melanie Sandoval, and Josh Brown, are the co-founders in this historical language revitalization project. Tachini Pete Louis Quest, Jenny Lemicum and Nkwusm. Nkwusm came about through the work of our elders and those people that tried really hard to preserve the language from the early 70s all the way into the 90s. And out of that work, myself, Josh Brown, Melanie Sandoval, April Charlo, and Cheney Bell came out of all the efforts that these people had in teaching the language and making sure that they were that the language was still here for us, for its people today. And all that work resulted in Salish classes that were held in public schools. The many people that were involved in those efforts, it resulted in language classes that happened throughout the community, through the college, and it happened through language camps put on by the culture committee, and the work that they've done over the years. All that stuff kind of culminated into what we kind of came into, and that was the opportunity to learn the language. And each one of us had different paths to coming together, and as we started to know about each other, we kind of grouped up together, and we taught each other. We had people come in like Dorothy Felsman, Joe Kaluuya, Sophie Mays, Agnes Kenmel. All these elders, they came in and helped us. and they taught us. We had classes with them, and it was through those efforts together that we formed Nkwusm. And Nkwusm was formed to provide a school setting for our kids, for the young people today, and to perpetuate the language and eventually revitalize the language. And so that was our main purpose for forming Nkwusm. And that happened in 2002 when we opened the doors for our school. In the fall of 2002, we had 6 students that started that year. We had Sophie Mays, Pat Pierre, myself, and Melanie Sandoval as the staff. And we had just one room, and that's where we started. And ever since we've grown from there.
Nkwusm kind of, for each individual kind of is a different story, I guess, and it's kind of how all of our stories come together. And my personal journey to getting to where Nkwusm started and then being involved with Nkwusm ultimately started with, who I am as a person, who I've grown into as a person. And I was raised by my mother and didn't know my dad until I was about 13, and grew up knowing I was an Indian, but didn't know too much about who I really was. And graduated from high school and went to school at Haskell, and that's where I really started hanging around a lot more Native people, I guess, and started seeing the different way people believe, different cultures, the way different people believed in things. And kind of, a lot of different things happened to me there. I played football, had more fun than I probably should have, and that's where ultimately I quit drinking, met some really good friends, and kind of to make a long story short, I started to kind of get really, like I guess they always used to say, get aim. I was really looking into mascot issue, Leonard Peltier, just different things like that. And but one of my friends, he said, what can you tell me about your people? And I really couldn't answer that question, and I spouted off some general information, and he's like, no, about your people, your culture. I couldn't answer that question, and from that point I really knew I needed to find out who my people were. And I came home, started going to college at Salish Kootenai College, and I took a language class, and Tachini Pete was the instructor, and got to know Tachini. That was my first introduction into our language. And then I took another class with Sophie Mays, and it was pretty quick. You really start to realize when you learn your language how important the language is to your culture. And the more I would learn my language, the more I learned about who I was as a Salish man. And so I learned that the Salish language is really the key to who we are as a people. It's the foundation. It really opens up the doors to learning about yourself, learning about your history, your culture, and ultimately about learning where we need to go as a people. And so I took those classes, got to start learning about who I was, and got to know Tachini Pete. Then he introduced me to Melanie Sandoval, and then I met Josh Brown, and that's kind of where we all just started hanging out.
Melanie ʷusm. I am a curriculum developer at Nkwusm, Salish Immersion School. I am also one of the founders of the school. There was 4 of us, young people, who started the school back in, I think, 2002, but I'm not sure. But we would get together and meet with some fluent speakers, elders, and talk, and we just felt that the best way to bring the language back was to start a school. So we went to Alaska, saw their immersion school, and we said, we can do this. And they encouraged us quite a bit and said, you know, you're still gonna make mistakes, but you might as well just do it. Just get a school started. So we started off with like 4 kids, I think. Then we kept adding more and more kids, and it got better every year. Added more teachers. You know, we just kept on going. When I was younger, I didn't know the language. I didn't learn it, and I went with my mom to an SKC Salish Language class. Started learning a lot more, and I felt really good about it. And I realized in myself that I didn't have. I realized that I needed like an identity, something to feel like I belonged to. So that what really helped me is the language, and so that was kind of my motivation to keep learning it myself. And I always knew that I wanted to teach it so that other young people could have the language. So I went to school for elementary education, and in my mind, always thinking about how would I teach the language. So so we started this school. We all had our own reasons to start it, and we came together and just started it. We had a lot of help from our elders and from the tribe.
I'm also known as Joshua Brown, and I'm the director of the Native American Language Teacher Training Institute at Salish Kootenai College. Nkwusm came out of many discussions that I had with Tachini Pete, Melanie, Sandoval, and Cheney Bell. And also April Charlotte was involved in the early days. So I met them when we were all in college together. We started talking about how we would like this. We had this common vision for creating an immersion school for young children. We kicked around the idea, and we just decided to go for it. So one of my earliest memories of really starting or thinking about really doing it is we had a dinner in Missoula at another person's house. We had Eldina Berdonwalk's house. She had dinner, and we had this sort of planning, brainstorming session, and then we went from there. So I remember when we first were talking about the idea of creating Immersion School, we decided that we were going to have a blanket dance at a powwow in Mission. So we did that one year. We broke out a blanket. We made this announcement, said we were going to start this Immersion School, and people were really excited. And I remember we went around, we danced around, and people gave us initial donations. And that's how I really recall first starting. I mean, I felt like, okay, we're really going to do this. We announced it to the public, so here we are. We're going to go for it now.
Just learn your language, learn how to sing. We even got drumming here. Our little kids drum. Even these little ones, they get the rhythm on that. The middle class got a drumming group. The bigger kids got a drumming group. And we just go on from there, because drumming is really important. Our medicine dances, that's lost too, you know. There's a lot of medicine songs are gone. And I start to teach that here. Pat started to teach here. And that's what it is songs give happiness. And that's lost too, you know. And language, like I say, the language is the center of everything.
The school's name is Nkwusm. Nkwusm is the overall organization that oversees everything, but Nkwusm is our school, Immersion School. And the whole idea of Immersion School is that from the moment they get here till the time they leave, they'll be surrounded and immersed in the language. So when they arrive by bus or get dropped off by their parent, they come in, they should be greeted by somebody that says, "Hasquext," good morning.
Nice hat, Tonka. Cool.
And then they usually go to breakfast, and before breakfast before any meal, we always say a prayer. So right away, we start the day off with a prayer, and then they eat, and then they'll go to what we call Yamansutui, or Yamansut. It's when we gather, and that's as a whole school we gather. We sing the morning song, and then Pat, or one of our elders, talks to the kid, and this is all in the language.
But the next request, not Pierre is my name.
Ipan koim sang silsi request to spell some hope that odds cat coach and schedule.
And after Yamansutui or Yamansut, they go to their individual classes. We have 3 classrooms: the little kids, the middle class, which is 1st through 3rd, and then the older grades, which is 4th through 8th grade. And they go into their individual subjects, whatever that may be, science, math, social studies. But within our own curriculum, our culture is embedded in that curriculum. So whatever they're learning, our culture is going to be tied into that in some way, along with using our language. So they're getting the culture, the language, but they're also getting the modern day, or the things they need to survive in today's world, such as math. And we start teaching English at the 4th grade, so they'll also get English at the 4th grade all the way on up. So we're really got a tough job. We're trying to teach our culture, our traditions, our language, along with, we have to prepare these kids for the world today. So it's really, it's tough, but it's very rewarding, and really no other place I'd want to be working,
When you hear that word "unef," that means they're agreeing with me. If I say Nkwusm, they say "unef." I'm saying, do you understand what I'm saying? And they say, yes, we do. So you see where we're at in our class. Every one of these understand what I'm talking about. And I always instruct them, if you don't understand something I'm saying, raise your hand so we can come back to that. And I'm looking forward to, by the end of this school year, the class is going to be holding conversations with one another. And I encourage that very much, that I'd be able to sit and talk to one another in their language. And so that is what we're working at, and I'm looking, it's a very good classes. We don't have too many, we don't have too few. It's just the right size where we can do things, PPR, we do a lot of stuff just to make these kind of words. These are place names. We call them place names. And everywhere we go in our Aboriginal territories, over the mountains, west, north, south, we've got place names for everywhere we go. And sometimes the culture committee would get together and we'd travel somewhere, go to Aboriginal territories. And what we do there is we find these particular areas that have a name we have given them. And so everywhere there's a place name. clear up to the Canadian border. And so it's an ongoing thing to bring back who we are. These young people will have their identity firm and in place through the school. Who they are, where they come from. We always say that everyone has roots. Those trees have roots. And these roots all branch out down here to hold this tree up. Then this tree starts branching out. One of these might be Mars, might be faith, but they have roots down here where they come from. So we teach those kind of things. And I asked somebody, Suet, so what's Quest? And they give me their name. So, oh, you're great-grandson of so-and-so, yeah. And great-granddaughter or whatever. Sometimes it can go as far as great-great. And when these students walk out of the school, they're going to know exactly who they are, where they come from, and what their destination in life is. That is my job here. That's what I'm teaching.
Valeria. Bitch.
Even going some safely with quest to spell some hope that odds get coaching.
Step there. Step there. Step there. Verlane. Step there. Step there. Relax. Relax. Tish there. Da, you said tish. And you said tish there. Step there. Step was boo.
She said poo said.
Oh, yeah. Apple.
My name is Stephen SmallSalmon. I'm an elder. I teach here for 7 years. This is my 7th year. And the reason I teach here is because I want the kids to learn how to do the language back again, because we're losing it. And my elders, Pete Beaverhead, used to say, years ago, I remember years ago when I was very young, he would say, we're going to lose our language. And our language is a strong thing. It's you learn your language, and from there it just spreads on to a lot of things, like the medicine dances, the sweat house, the medicines in the mountains. It kind of connects with everything out there. There's so many things to learn from our language and going out. And if you don't know your language, then you're stuck, you know. Then you just take somebody else's word. And then years ago, I remember I used to have to listen to your elders. Your elders would sit down, just like I'm doing now. You'd sit and you'd do all the talking. You did all the listening. And you would talk And this was in his language. His language was strong, and you'd listen and you'd say, well, this is the way I got my songs, this is the way I got my medicines, this is the way my elders told me in his times.
That's our goal, is that our kids will have all of that when they leave our school. And they'll be fully prepared to enter any higher education institution with with a solid grounding in academics, in their self-identity. They'll have a high self-esteem so that they will make wise choices when they're young adults and teenagers. And from all of this, our community becomes healthier because we have kids that are entering into school and they're making very good choices. They're not taking a bad path into crime or substance abuse. And eventually down the road, we'll have a more vibrant community with very productive people in our tribe that are also fluent in the language, knowledgeable of their culture, and know where they come from and know the ancestors and their customs and ways that have helped us as a people to survive in this world for eons. And that's what we want to do. That's what we are doing. Lamnoch.
And the main thing is that time is short. We only have a few speakers left, and so right now is the time to do that. There is no tomorrow. If we don't do it now, in my opinion, our people will be lost forever at some point down the road. It might not be tomorrow, but if we lose our language at some point, we will become extinct as a people. At some point, we will be engulfed or swallowed by the dominant culture pretty easy.